Okay, we're back over here in our existing keyword document. This has the keyword data that we pulled from SEMrush. We're in the shortlist tab here. This is the list that we generated in the previous video. These are all the keywords that are relevant and have a decent amount of search volume attached to them. Now in column D, we can see the SEMrush's keyword difficulty index metric. Really, SEMrush created its own proprietary formula to calculate keyword difficulty. It's an estimation of how hard it's going to be to rank well organically for a given keyword using a percentage score from 0 to 100. And the higher the percentage, the more difficult SEMrush predicts that it's going to be for you to rank for any given keyword. The way that SEMrush comes up with this percentage is it takes into consideration the overall authority of the domains that are showing up in the search results pages. And the more authoritative the domains are that rank for a keyword, the harder it's going to be for you to rank for a new search term, or in our case, improve the rankings of keywords that we already have existing content built around. Now, the thing with this is if we look at column D, we look at the keyword difficulty index, as I scan down my short list, I can see that most of them are in the 50s and 60s with a few in the 70s. Just looking at this data in face value, I might think, wow, like all of my keywords are like either medium or high competition. So I might not even be able to improve or get quick wins from any of these keywords, right? And really the issue with this is without any type of baseline to go off of, it can be really hard to use this keyword difficulty index metric to make some accurate, actionable sort of next steps on whether or not you should go after any of these keywords. So what I want to do is walk you through a couple quick ways that you can establish a baseline using this SEMrush data to then come up with a baseline that you can use to make some actionable strategic action items off of your different keywords in your shortlist. So if I come back over to SEMrush here, what I'll do in order to build this baseline that we need is I'll just copy the domain again, drop it into SEMrush, and then we will generate a report. We'll navigate up to the organic research report inside of the domain analytics tab here. We'll just wait for that to pull all our existing keywords again. And then we're just going to add one filter this time, only include keywords with position less than 6. So what we're telling it is give us a list of all the keywords that your website is ranking for already in the top 5 search positions. Now, when I do this, what it does is it'll generate that list of keywords for me. In the case of my site where I've got a relatively small keyword set, I can just start scanning down this list, right? And I can look at this keyword difficulty column and I can immediately start to get an idea that most of the keywords that I'm ranking for, the upper threshold of the keyword difficulty index is going to be sort of high 50s, 60s. So probably wouldn't want to go any higher than say 67, just looking at this data at a high level. Any keywords with sort of mid 50s into the 60s keyword difficulty score, I'm fairly confident that I could have a chance to increase those rankings relatively quickly. But in the case that you're working with an extremely large keyword set for like an enterprise client or just a really large website with, you know, thousands or millions of pages ranking top 5 for thousands of different keywords as well, what we want to do is we want to export this data and create a little visualization around to it so that we can get a really quick idea of sort of the main baseline thresholds that we can go after. So what we'll do here is we'll just export our keywords that are ranking in the top 5 positions. So just click export, save, and then this will generate that report. And then I'll open it up. Just click the tab here. Yep. All right. So here are my existing keywords, right? So what we'll do now is we'll just create another tab. Let's just call it distribution, and then we will simply copy the keyword column here, paste that in, and then the other column we want to grab is our keyword difficulty index. All right, so now we have those two in here. What we want to do is we want to create like a little bit of a histogram visualization of this data. Looking at my keywords, I've got 160 in here in the top 5 positions. We'll call this bin limits because this is basically the buckets that were, and I'll explain this as we go through it, but we'll just create another column called bin limits, and then we'll call another one frequency. Now with my bin limits, I want these guys to be sort of 5 base points apart, like so. And then I'll just copy this down till I get to 100, since we're working with 0 to 100. All right, so we got that in place now. The next thing we want to do is we want to establish our frequency. And specifically, we want to find out how many times keywords show up within a specific keyword difficulty index bin, like 15 to 20, 20 to 25, etc. So we'll click in this cell, come up to formulas, and then from here, there's no statistical formula option here. So we'll click more, statistical, and then we want to use the frequency formula. So we'll click in here. Now what it's going to do is it's going to pop up this function arguments, and we're going to want to enter in our data array. And the data array is really just the range of different keyword difficulty index values. So we'll just drop that in there. Cool. And now we want to highlight our bin array. So if I come back up here to my bins, so now I'm just going to highlight these guys from 0 to 100. There they are. I click OK. And that'll populate a value here 0, because naturally, we don't have any I don't have any keywords in my shortlist with a keyword difficulty index value of 0. Instead of clicking this, double clicking this to drop to populate the formula down like we normally would in Excel, this case we don't want to do that. What we need to do is we basically need to highlight all of the cells next to our bin limits. Select those, then click inside our frequency formula, and it should highlight our keyword difficulty index and bin limits. And then what you want to do here, and this is important, is click Control Shift Enter all at the same time. And what that's going to do is going to auto-populate and calculate the frequency of all of the different bin limits for all of our keyword difficulty index scores. What we do off of that now is we just click highlight the frequency tab, and then we can insert just a basic 2D chart, right? Now it's going to generate a little distribution here, and we can see the frequency of different values, but you can see along the bottom here that this isn't the data we want. We want this to reflect our keyword difficulty index buckets, right? From 0 to 100. So click this horizontal data, select data along the horizontal line here, and then we want to click edit, and we want to do our range. So what we'll do is we'll just highlight 0 to 100, and then we'll click OK. All right, so now I can see, looking at my keyword data for the keywords ranking in the top 100 search, the keywords ranking in the top 5 search positions, I can get a quick visual of the keyword difficulty index distribution. So I can see the majority of them are actually ranking in position 70, and then like 65 to 75, the bulk of those keywords, with some like 55, 60. So that's a good leading indicator that the keywords that I have on my other existing keyword ranking sheet, I can actually go after and rank for. Now, that's one good thing, because you can imagine if you can populate a graph like this across your keyword set, and you notice that the majority of your keywords right now at the position in time you're in, based on domain authority metrics, are ranking, say, for keywords that are in 45 to 55 keyword difficulty range. That's a good leading indicator about that's what you want to go after, at least in the short term, maybe even a little bit lower than that, since we're going after the quick wins. But if you find that a lot of the keywords in your shortlist are much higher than that, then those are the ones you want to start eliminating, because you're not going to be able to go after those in the short term. Now, looking at my example here, I've got a lot, so I would probably be focusing more on the keywords in the mid to high 50s, low 60s, because they're a little bit lower than my normal range. And since I'm going after the short, quick win opportunities, it would probably make more sense to go a little bit lower than the main bucket distribution there.